Hello, welcome to our very first video lecture or mini lesson of the year. I know that this is a learning experience for us and we're just gonna jump right in, and don't worry, there'll be lots of help along the way to get us in the swing of how to watch a video and what to do while we're doing it. Alrighty, so here we go. Today we're going to jump in and talk about absolute value and some of the adding and subtracting integer rules that we have to abide by when we're adding and subtracting integers. So if you write absolute value slash adding and subtracting integers at the top of your notebook paper, and then the date. Our objective is to review the concepts of absolute value in adding and subtracting integers. So I would like you to write down the objective underneath your title. And today we're going to just do a graphic organizer of a definition to get us into what absolute value is. So on our handout that you're going to eventually put in your 5-subject notebook, I would like you to fill this out along with me. So in the middle, you're going to put absolute value. That's our vocabulary word or our term, absolute value. And as I'm sure you remember, absolute value means a number's distance from 0 on a number line. That's the definition. Now if you're like, I can't really remember what that is, don't worry. Some of the other boxes I'm sure will clear it up. Some facts about absolute value is that it's always positive, and that the symbol is the two straight vertical lines around a number or an expression. And it's always positive because distance is always positive. You can't have negative distance. So some examples of absolute value and what it might look like is as follows. So this first one right here, the absolute value of 8. Absolute value of 8. I'm sorry, I don't know why that X is there. It should not be there. It should just be absolute value of 8 equals 8. Our next example is the absolute value of -2 is equal to +2. So just be careful. One pitfall that people tend to do is try to think of opposites, like absolute value is opposites, and that is not true because as you see, 8, the absolute value is 8, is 8. The opposite of 8 would be -8, and that is not the absolute value. So try not to get that confused. And then if you were to draw it on a number line, if you wanted to do that, I think all of us are past this, but if you wanted to draw it on a number line, you could do the absolute value of 3. You draw your number line. There's your 3. What is the distance between, to get to 0? We'll count backwards. 1, 2, 3. It's 3. The answer is 3. And then some non-examples would be, of course, all your negative numbers, because a negative number can never be the absolute value. So underneath your insert of your journal, I would like you to pause this video and glue this whole thing into your 5-subject notebook. Underneath it, once you glue it in, and if you haven't done so, pause this video to do so, I would like you to write this. When simplifying an expression, the absolute value is treated like parentheses, which means do them first. So remember, when we simplify expressions, we have to abide by order of operations, or PEMDAS. And the first thing that we have to look at when we do PEMDAS is P, parentheses, or order of operations. P is parentheses. So we are saying treat the absolute value as you would treat parentheses. So do them first. So in my example down here, we have 6 plus absolute value of -8 plus -2 all over 2, or all divided by 2. So you would solve -8 plus -2 first before you do the absolute value of that answer before you would add 6 in that answer. So I want you guys to try that. Try that on your own. Try to solve that on your own. Pause the video and try to solve this. Next thing we're going to do is jump into adding integers. Now, I would like you to pause the video and make sure that you have your foldable that we made earlier. Maybe you made it in class right now, depending on your situation. So on your foldable, on the top right portion, we're going to write adding integers on the outside. Now, Miss Sandwich will have a example of that in class. Then on the inside, on the left side of the book of that foldable, you're going to write same signs, and that means with that rule, if they have the same sign, the two integers have the same sign, you're going to add the numbers and keep the same sign. So an example of that would be -5 plus -8 equals -13. So you would say 5 plus 8 equals 13. Both of the numbers have a negative sign, so the answer is -13. We already do that all the time when we add two positive integers, so that's the other example that we have is 2 plus 3 equals 5. They're two positive integers, so the answer is positive. On the right side of your booklet, you're going to put different signs. So what happens when we add integers together when they have different signs? So what you're going to do is subtract the numbers, and take the sign of the bigger number. So if you have -15 plus 10, you go 15 minus 10 equals 5. What sign belongs to the bigger integer? The negative. So -15 plus 10 is equal to -5. Let's do the next example. -32 plus 40. So you would say 40 minus 32, which is 8. The 40 is the bigger number, so we know our answer is going to be positive. And our last example for right now is 5 plus -8. So 8 minus 5 is 3. 8 is the bigger number, which is a negative number, so your answer is -3. The top right portion of the foldable, you're going to write subtracting integers. On the inside, left side of when you open it up, you're going to write down subtraction problems can be written as addition problems by changing subtraction to addition and by changing the sign of the number being subtracted. So some examples that you're going to write on the flap on the right side is -8 minus -2. Well, we can write it as -8 plus, because we changed the sign, +2. So plus a positive. So now we know this rule, we just went over it. 8 minus 2 is 6. What's the bigger number? 8. That has a negative sign, so it's -6. It's a little bit easier to understand than this negative and subtraction problem. So once again, we can do the same thing. 4 minus 7. That can be written as 4 plus -7 because we turned the subtraction into addition and changed the sign. So 4 plus -7, once again, we have different signs. So we're going to take the difference. 7 minus 4 equals 3. -7, or 7 is the bigger number, which has a negative sign in front of it. So our answer has to be -3. So on the other half of your foldable, tomorrow we're going to be, or next week rather, we're going to do multiplying and dividing integers. So just hang tight. We will fill that in as we go. But now we're going to be doing some activities to strengthen these skills.